If you've been following this channel from the start, you'll know we began with Australia's fuel crisis, the Strait of Hormuz, the empty servos, the 29 days of diesel. Since then, there's been a ceasefire. Prices came off their peak, and things started to look like they might settle down. This week, that changed. There are now two new threats, bearing down on Australian petrol prices at the same time. And here's the part most people don't realise. One of them isn't happening in the Middle East at all. It's a decision being made in Canberra, and it lands on August 2nd. Let's start with the international threat, because it's the dramatic one. Yemen's Houthi rebels have vowed to impose a maritime blockade on Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia exports millions of barrels of oil per day from its Red Sea port of Yanbu, and that traffic runs through the Bab al-Mandeb Strait, the narrow waterway at the southern end of the Red Sea. Why this matters so much comes down to geography. The Strait of Hormuz, at the mouth of the Persian Gulf, has been disrupted since the war began in February. Bab al-Mandeb has been the main workaround, the bypass route that kept some Gulf oil flowing to the world. Now both are under threat at once, and that's the key point analysts keep making. When one choke point is blocked, cargo can theoretically be rerouted through the other. When both face disruption simultaneously, there's no large-scale alternative left for Gulf producers. Markets aren't pricing a single disruption anymore. They're pricing the possibility of Middle Eastern oil logistics failing at the infrastructure level. The effect was immediate. Brent crude pushed past $91 a barrel. Two tankers carrying Saudi crude, one bound for India, one for China, turned around mid-voyage after the blockade was declared. Those weren't precautionary moves on vague intelligence. Those were commercial operators deciding the risk was real. Analysts at Pickering Energy Partners estimate a full blockade of Baby al-Mandeb could add another $5 to $10 a barrel, pushing oil above $100. Now here's the second threat, and this one is entirely within Australia's control. Back when the fuel crisis hit, the Albanese government halved the fuel excise, the tax built into every litre of petrol. You buy to take some pressure off drivers. That discount is due to end on August 2nd, just over a week away. If it lapses, the excise goes back to full rate, and that flows straight through to the Bowser. So Australian drivers are facing the possibility of two increases, landing almost simultaneously higher global crude prices from the Red Sea situation, plus the return of the full fuel tax at home. The government now faces a genuinely difficult decision. Extending the discount costs the budget billions in foregone revenue, at a time when it's already managing significant spending commitments. Letting it expire while petrol prices are climbing again is politically painful and hits household budgets directly, at a moment when cost of living pressure is already the dominant political issue in the country. Watch that August tilt date. It's the single most concrete thing affecting what you pay at the pump over the next month. And unlike events in the Red Sea, it's a decision Australians can actually influence. So why is Australia so exposed to something happening 12,000 kilometres away? We've covered this before, but it bears repeating because it's the root of the whole problem. Australia imports the overwhelming majority of its refined fuel. We're down to 2 operating refineries, and one of them, at Geelong, caught fire earlier this year. Most of our fuel comes from refineries in South Korea, Singapore, Malaysia, and Japan, and those refineries run on Middle Eastern crude, so we don't need a single Australian-bound tanker to be blocked for this to hurt us. When Gulf crude can't reach Asian refineries reliably, those refineries produce less, charge more, and prioritise their domestic markets. Australia sits at the end of that chain. There's a second cost most people never see: insurance. Insuring a ship through the Strait of Hormuz has reportedly risen to somewhere between 3 and 10% of the vessel's hull value. That can add millions of dollars to a single shipment. Red Sea insurance costs have started climbing too since the Houthi announcement. Those costs don't disappear. They get built into the price of every litre that eventually reaches an Australian servo. And the alternative route, around South Africa's Cape of Good Hope, adds weeks of sailing time and substantial fuel and crew costs. It works, but it isn't cheap and it isn't fast. So what should you actually do? First, watch August 2. If the excise discount lapses, expect a step up at the Bowser almost immediately. If you're due for a fill-up in that window, filling before the deadline is a small but real saving. Second, don't panic buy. We learned this in February. Panic buying is what emptied the servos, not an actual national shortage. The system handles normal demand fine. It breaks when everyone shows up at once with jerry cans. Third, use the price cycle. Most Australian capitals run a predictable petrol price cycle, and apps that track it can save you 20 to 30 cents a litre. just by timing your fill up in a period of volatility, that's worth more than usual. Fourth, if you drive diesel, particularly in a regional area, the diesel market is tighter than petrol and reacts faster to supply disruption. Keeping your tank reasonably topped up is sensible. Not paranoid stockpiling, just not running on fumes. The bigger picture hasn't changed since our very first video on this channel, and that's what's frustrating. Australia exports enormous quantities of energy coal and LNG to half of Asia, and yet we can be knocked around by a militia group in Yemen, threatening ships in a strait most Australians couldn't find on a map. We closed 6 of our 8 refineries over 2 decades because importing was cheaper. It was cheaper right up until it wasn't. Academics at UTS made the point this week that the Red Sea blockade has dimmed. Hopes the economic disruption from this conflict will be over soon, and that governments and businesses need to seriously examine supply, chain resilience, and reduce reliance on fossil fuels for transport and logistics. That's the long-term answer. In the short term, we're all just watching the Red Sea, watching August 2, and watching the number on the sign at the servo. What are you paying for fuel where you are right now? And do you think the government should extend the excise discount past August 2? Drop it in the comments, I'll be tracking this one closely. Like and subscribe for more Australian news explained simply. See you next time.